It's a Monday, March 18th, 2024. It's going to be a quiet start to the week, then changes. For most of the West, high pressure and moderating temperatures will take us today through Wednesday and into part of Thursday, but certainly today through Wednesday. We're still going to have unsettled weather, though, in the Four Corners region. You're still going to have some showers and thunderstorms around and some mountain snow showers in the desert southwest. Is that upper low, the same one that was a big weather maker late last week, it's still stuck down there. It'll get unstuck later in the week. Now, changing weather is coming by the end of the week, especially for the northern areas. Now, for those folks watching this podcast in Montana, far northern Wyoming, North and South Dakota, up into the Alberta area, up into Saskatchewan, over into Manitoba, British Columbia, there's going to be a lot of winter in your neck of the woods here for the next 7 to 10 days, as the storm track over the last couple of weeks has been more south, but we're going to see the storm track dominating a little more north. So Mother Nature is kind of spreading the wealth around, but unfortunately it's going to be more winter than spring in those areas, as we'll show you here in a minute. Another storm system is coming by mid to late in the weekend and early next week, and it will cover all of the West. But it will, again, hit those northern areas, I think, the hardest. But it's going to be more like winter with much colder temperatures this late weekend and into next week in many areas, especially in the northern areas, but moving south. And even though the first day of spring is tomorrow, really after tomorrow, it's not going to be very much like spring at all. Beautiful shot here out of southwest Colorado as the sun finally came out after 5 days of clouds, but more snow deposited on the mountain slopes. And if you look at the snowpack, that last storm, again, did wonders. What you want to look here is for green and blue. If you're green and blue, you're in a very good snowpack situation. The yellow and the oranges continue to be up in these northern areas where the snowpack had just been very poor, although this area is going to get a big boost here in the next 7 to 10 days. But snowpack's doing very well in some of the very key drainages of the West. So this will end up being 2 really good snowpack years in a row, and we're not done with the snowpack season. But a lot of clear skies showing up this morning across the West. If you look at sort of the movement of the clouds, this high pressure ridge is building over the West. If you look real carefully, it doesn't look like much, but there's still a counterclockwise circulation right here over Arizona, and this will keep the atmosphere unstable and moist. And the heat of the day, more showers will be found down there. But most of the West, high pressure is going to be in control. There it is, right over Washington and Oregon, that low down over Arizona, the ridge coming on through, colder, unsettled weather for the Great Lakes in the northeast. So the West is actually going to have some of the better weather, except in the desert southwest as we get the week started. And for the first day of spring tomorrow, it really looks pretty good. But this is when things begin to change. This is by Thursday. That low finally kicks out, heads into the Midwest. And what we're going to see up here in the Pacific is this strong upper level low will be off the coast of Washington and Oregon, and the jet stream is going to want to take a dip. This is a winter configuration really right here, and it'll really show itself here later in the week and the weekend. The counterclockwise rotation around these 2 lows will bring in a strong northerly flow here. This is going to start to drive cold air out of Northwest Territories along the east slopes of the Canadian Rockies. And that cold air will then leak along the Continental Divide into Montana, far northern Wyoming, and the Dakotas by Thursday and Friday. And then this low off the West Coast is going to throw moisture towards it. We call this overrunning. We bring up the term overrunning a lot in the winter season, where cold air is overrun by warmer, moist air from the Pacific. So Canadian air on the bottom, Pacific air on top. It's a great way to make it snow, especially in the high plains and adjacent to the Continental Divide. And the end result is this. This is by noon Friday. So you can see the cold air leaking, getting into Sheridan and KC and Midwest, getting over to Gillette, Rapid City here, going around the Black Hills, sneaking around the Black Hills right there. You can see that little tongue coming on through. Then the cold air spills out across the Dakotas. Some really cold air for March as we get on into late next week. And that warmer Pacific air overruns that colder air on the ground. And this is the result. You get this shield of precipitation, heaviest where the cold air is the deepest, right up against the mountains. But look at Montana, stretching out across North Dakota, northern areas of South Dakota, then maybe clipping the far northern counties of Wyoming. This moisture here is still the remains of the upper level low coming on through, and the Pacific Northwest gets wet again. This is by the Thursday, Friday time frame. So that's going to produce snow, some pretty significant snows right there in far northern Montana, then up into Alberta there, but also light to moderate snows. You're going to extend across the Dakotas and into the upper Midwest. A lot of cold air. So that's the first system. That is the first salvo of wintry weather. That's going to be Thursday and Friday, again, focusing on those northern areas. By Sunday, though, that upper level low that's off the coast of Washington and Oregon comes into the Great Basin. It also is going to draw in more cold air. Now, it's kind of disjointed and disorganized, but a very broad area of cold, moist air comes out of Canada and the Pacific Northwest and comes into the northern plains, the northern Rockies, a large part of central Canada there, and then all the way back down into southern California. So this is by Sunday. The end result is that it's going to spread colder, unsettled weather in a large, broad trough, very large, broad trough, covers the central and western United States. That's going to feed cold air out of Canada. Again, this is a winter look. This is not a spring look. This is a winter look to the weather pattern all of a sudden. And then you're going to see much colder, wintry weather come into the west. So those tulips and daffodils that are pushing through, they're going to stop, come to a halt. Look at these temperatures and precipitation conditions that come with the second wave. This is the second wave that is from this weekend through next weekend. There's another round of snow for Montana and the Dakotas. This is in addition to what I just showed you. And then we're also going to see probably some scattered areas of snow in this area right here. This is pretty far out, so don't take this as the gospel truth right here. But the general trend is going to be probably another focusing of the heavier snows up here, but there could be other snows and much colder temperatures falling in this area here. The Sierra Nevada, the Pacific Northwest getting wet again. Then here's your second round of snow. So it's going to add up, especially in those northern areas. They need the moisture up here, and they're going to get it, but it's going to be mostly in the form of snow. Stock growers across south central Canada and through the northern Rockies, especially right here, mid to late this week and into next week, you need to be prepared for winter weather conditions, but also stock growers in this area here need to be prepared for much colder temperatures and probably some snow as well with the second wave. Look at these temperature anomalies by next Monday. The purple means temperatures 30 to 40 degrees below the 30-year average. And you can see the sharp delineation here between the very cold air as that trough comes in and the warmer air off to the east. This colder air is not going to just be around a day or two. It could be around for several days next week. So the last week of March into early April is likely going to be much colder than average over a large part of the central and western United States. So while it is going to be spring officially on Tuesday, Mother Nature's got other ideas. We'll see you tomorrow.